Hello and happy December. Welcome to SCARE and to our virtual space. My name is Taylor. I am the Youth Programs Coordinator here at SCARE, and I work directly with tutorial services for our youth as well. But first of all, thank you so much for joining us as we kick off the first part of our series, Momentum, which is a career training series. And so today we're going to go ahead and get started. And like I said, we are kicking it off with part one today. As I mentioned, this is the first part. So today's training is really going to be focused on visualizing your future, releasing boundaries, and goal setting. You'll be hearing from my colleagues as well, just different topics, all kind of like pertaining to that. So before we get started, I did want to kind of go over what momentum is and really why us here at SCARE, why we chose this as our topic for our career training series. So momentum is movement. Momentum is energy. When movement and energy meet, they become your vision. As you visualize your future, your visions become your first steps. First steps become goals that you create that you can realistically achieve because you set your pace. You are the momentum for your focus, your passion, your goals for your family. As you create your momentum, you naturally begin to take steps needed to visualize your goals and as actions and positive energy for your future. Be kind to yourself. And so that's just like our definition of momentum and how that ties into creating these goals and achieving what you set your mind to. And so whenever I personally think about momentum, I think about a person running a marathon. And you don't ever want to like sprint from the start because you're going to tire yourself out. You're not going to make it to the finish line. And so word momentum comes to mind, and thinking about someone who is, slow and steady. You always hear that like phrase, slow and steady wins the race. And that's kind of what I think about here. I think you want to find that good speed where it's sustainable. You can keep running for a long time. You can jog your way to the finish line and be able to achieve your goals. And like I said, like cross the finish line. And so as I mentioned, this is going to be a 4-part series of career trainings. So this is the first one that is taking place in December. If you couldn't already guess that by my lovely background here, but some of the future trainings will take place around March, June, and September. And so here are some of the topics to look forward to in some of our future momentum trainings. We will be touching on topics such as career, relationships and communication, meet the employers, and of course, topics from your feedback. So all of these trainings are going to have a survey and an evaluation form. Please fill that out just because we want to hear from you and what you would like to have us cover in these series as well. So please let us know what topics you're interested in. If there are any other topics that you'd really like us to cover, we would love to incorporate it into our series as well. So the first part in gaining momentum is actually going to be finding your support. And so you want to kind of find that steady ground, that stability, find your support that's going to help you be able to move forward. Because if you don't have that stability to begin with, it can be a little bit harder to actually take all the actions needed to meet your goals, right? So use your community and networks to find support. Because in reality, we aren't really doing any of this alone. We rely on people like our friends, our family, even just organizations, services that you may utilize. All of that kind of plays a role in the way that we're able to move forward and what we're able to do. And so you're already receiving services from Tribal TANF, which is the first step in creating positive momentum for the future. So really just having kind of access to these services and knowing that you're able to kind of take these very tangible steps to move forward. And it helps give an idea of like what you can do, what you can learn and really help to reach your goals as well. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about SCARE services as well, because we really do have some great opportunities to, again, kind of like build that support and make you feel confident in your journey of finding momentum. So here at SCARE, we do have 5 programs. We have Native Networks, HAUCA, Tribal TANF, TUPE, and AIEC. So I'm going to very briefly just tell a little bit about all of them, just so you have an idea of what kind of services are offered here at SCARE as well. So we have our Native Networks program, which is focused on providing career training, job exploration, computer training, education and counseling services, as well as supportive services to overcome barriers in employment. And so what this really consists of are things like mock interviews, financial planning, resume building, and really building those like solid skills, maybe it's computer skills also, anything to really help you overcome those barriers and be able to have the resources that you need to kind of like move forward in employment. Next program is our HAUCA program. So our HAUCA program is focused on providing emergency services for eligible low-income natives and their families that are living in urban communities in scarce service areas. And so what this looks like, it might be rental assistance, it could be help with utilities or food, clothing, maybe even medical, anything that we can do to really help in any of these emergency situations that realistically we do encounter sometimes. And so you're already familiar with Tribal TANF, but Tribal TANF provides participants with career training, educational training, personal development training, counseling services, and specialized workshops and trainings for eligible natives and their families. And like I said, you're already very familiar with this and really just helping to find access to career training. And I mean, this workshop is definitely one example, as well as our other trainings that we offer from time to time. So our next one is our youth program. We have TUPE, which is the Sacred Pipe Tobacco Use Prevention Education Program. And so this is focused on promoting commercial tobacco prevention education, smoking cessation, cultural training, and education on usage of tobacco in ceremonies, in medicine, and in health and wellness to our youth that are going to be basically between the grades of kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And lastly, we have our AIEC program, which is the American Indian Education Center program. And so this is focused on providing academic tutorial services and counseling services to our K through 12 youth and their parents as well. And so for tutoring, this might look like one-on-one academic assistance. Maybe we're working on homework or building up skills for math and reading, or it could look like test preparation for GED or anything like that to really help kind of prepare for those big tests, right? And then for counseling, that also looks pretty different. We have things like individual counseling. There's family counseling. There's youth groups. That's only just a fraction of it. These are just some examples of what these services might look like also. So again, this is the first part in our Momentum Career Training Series. And so today's whole topic is visualizing your future, releasing boundaries, and goal setting. So you will be hearing from my colleagues as well, and they're really going to be talking about a few different topics. So there is going to be the meaning of momentum, visualizing your future, releasing boundaries. And you're going to hear from my colleague Tekka, and she's going to talk a lot about her personal experience with Tribal TANF and kind of the ways that she's been able to get past barriers and really setting goals and accomplishing her goals. You'll also hear about the topic all about you. This is your time to be successful. And so that's really going to be about kind of like learning to be a little bit selfish sometimes and being able to know when to put yourself first so you're able to do what you need to do, be successful, reach your goals, and kind of like go against it, because a lot of times you focus on other people, but you got to focus on yourself and put yourself first as well sometimes too. And then lastly, we're also going to be hearing about getting started. First things first is in the planning. So the idea with this is going to be like, if someone were to call you up right now and offer you a job, do you have everything ready to go to work? You have transportation, resources, childcare, skills, and you're going to be hearing from my colleague Michelle also on that, and she's really going to help set you up for maybe the ways to plan to get ready for seeking a job, for getting the skills and the resources that you need for that as well. And so, like I said, this is the first part. I'm really looking forward to you guys joining us today, and I hope you guys enjoy it and are looking forward to the future ones as well. And just another reminder to please fill out these surveys and evaluation forms. It's going to help us know how we can best provide these trainings for you. And so if there are topics that you really want us to cover, please let us know, and we would love to incorporate it in our future training videos as well. But thank you all so much, and let's go ahead and kick this series off to a great start. I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to my colleagues now.
Hello, my name is Teka Sosi, and I am the Adult Programs Coordinator here at SCARE. I've been here since about February of 2020, but I've been familiar with SCARE since, I want to say, 2011, 2012. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about momentum and how you can build that on, and then also give you a little bit of my backstory and how I got to where I am today. So when building your momentum, first you kind of have to think about what momentum is and what it means to you. Momentum can be anything from moving forward and finding what it is that, is designed around what it is that you want to do. What is your drive and how do you keep on moving forward? And what we can talk about, or what I wanted to talk about, is just kind of having a little bit of how would you find your momentum? What are you wanting to change about your life? What is important to you and what is your reason? There's many different things of what you can do and think about when it comes to momentum, and when you're thinking about your life and what it is that you want to do moving forward and how you can change that about yourself. There's many resources out there that can help you when it comes to looking and finding what it is that can help you with achieving your goals, and different ways of how you can eliminate barriers that might come into your way when it comes to getting and achieving those goals and getting to where it is that you want to do or where you want to be in life. Finding what's important to you could be in many different things. It could go from, your family to your own personal beliefs and choices, and those around you, like your family, your extended family, your children, what it is that you have a passion for in life. What keeps you going? Is it helping people? Is it helping yourself? Is it, many different things that kind of come together that play into how you keep moving day to day. And finding that and then building on it and creating something that's beneficial for you, your future, for whatever reason that it is that you're doing what it is that you're doing. Also, when you're thinking about your momentum and how you're going to build that, you also got to think about your motivation, and it kind of goes with the previous slide of finding your reason. Setting down those goals and, just really sitting down and thinking about what it is that you need to accomplish to get that goal that is in your reach, or is it a little out of reach and you're trying to complete different tasks to get there? And what is your attitude behind it? Attitude for ourselves plays a really big part in the way that we do things, from handling a situation to how we feel about ourselves, our self-confidence. Do we feel like we are capable of success? Do we have anything in our own thoughts that is keeping us or hindering us from achieving those goals that we set for ourselves? Success isn't something that comes easy for everyone. Sometimes some people just have that drive and they can accomplish everything faster than others, but you know, everybody is successful in their own rate and in their own way. And you know, it's finding your own to build on that and making sure that you just don't feel like you have nothing, because sometimes we feel that way, but everything is right there in reach, and we just don't know how to access that, or we don't really know that it's there. And so that's where, you know, we come together as a community and find resources, reach out to find those resources that can help you, you know, talking to others and having a positive attitude that things can change and that there's more, you know, and finding that support. Finding the support could be anybody from a friend to a neighbor to, you know, those around you, and how they can help you with achieving your goals, and how, you know, their support can help mend your attitude towards things. It might give you more of an uplifting spirit and give you what it is that you need to become successful. And also, if you think about our motivation, it does stem from our performance, which really connects with our attitude and our support. If we feel confident and feel like we have everything that we need to be successful, we perform differently. We perform and we are very driven into what it is to achieve our goals. And, you know, everything kind of goes with each other, like even the idea of what it is that I need to set. What do I need to identify, you know, as my goals? Who can I find for support? How can I be successful? And kind of brainstorming and coming together to build this collaboration within ourselves that can help us individually for our future. Moving on to the next slide. I want to talk to you a little bit about my story. So I have been a TANF participant. I was a TANF participant for about 5 years of my life. I became a single mother in 2011 or 2010, sorry. And into 2011, I was just trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do with my life and how I could change things and kind of find my drive. I wanted to find, you know, what I can do to help myself with helping my family. And so I had joined or applied for TANF, and I met with my career counselor, my case manager, and I started kind of making a plan for myself and try to figure out what it was that I wanted to do. I had a big passion of wanting to help people. It was something that was passed down to me, I feel, from my family, my grandma especially. She really enjoyed helping people. She worked with the community and was just always there as a helping hand and trying to find a new way to help someone, and you know, and just did it with a genuine heart. And I feel like I kind of grasped onto that aspect, or you know, that part of, you know, my childhood, and kind of instilled it into my own self. So I went back to school in 2011, where as being a single mom, you know, trying to go back to school, trying to find my heart and where it was, I kind of found myself taking different types of classes, different types of studies, and trying to find something that really I kind of connected to. I was taking general education courses, from that to business to child development, and that's where I found myself. I found myself in child development. I found myself wanting to help others, and I felt that helping others at a younger age could help them grow up with the skill set, the needs, and everything that they needed to be who they wanted or who they could be as they got older. With the help of TANF and them giving me resources of assisting me with childcare services so that I could attend school, helping me find a center that would work for myself and my children during the time that I was going to school, as well as finding that support from my family to help me as well. I know that sometimes we could feel, like we don't have all of that, but we do. We just need to ask. Never hurts to ask anybody. The worst that anyone can say is no, and what you do is you either advocate for yourself and keep continuing to ask to that same place or same resource or in that same path, or you just find a new path. I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but it is something that you're capable of, and as long as you have the confidence and the drive to do it, you can do it. I have full faith. As I had found myself in that same situation of feeling, less confident of myself to ask for help and feeling embarrassed about, just the whole fact of having to ask and my pride and stuff. But then I felt, or thought this could be anybody. And, if I have this opportunity to grasp onto these resources, then I need to grasp on and just continue to thrive and complete what I was doing. In 2013, I graduated with my associates in child development from Cuyamaca Community College here in East County. I felt very appreciative and grateful for that opportunity, as being still on TANF and utilizing my services with them, as well as utilizing other services within the community, like attending SCARE for my participation hours, getting the assistance from the career counselors on site here at SCARE, and utilizing their Learning Center labs in order for me to continue my education. It was very appreciative, and I was very grateful for that opportunity, because I felt this huge community kind of reach out and help me with achieving what it was that I had my mind set at that time. It helped me with my momentum and feeling that I can complete and do what it is that I came here to do. In 2015, I had my son. I was a mom of 3. At that time, I was still kind of taking other classes that I needed to for requirements needed to try to transfer into San Diego State, as that was the school that I wanted to go to. So I was trying to meet the requirements and kind of take courses here and there. As I was pregnant with him, I continued school. In October of 2015, I gave birth. I took 1 week off and I went right back to class. In person, that week that I was off, I did all my work that I needed to for that week online rather than in person, and my teachers were very accommodating to my needs at that time. And what I did is I let them know what was going on. I told them that I needed this, and they were willing to accommodate my situation. So once again, I asked. The worst that could happen is they say no, that I didn't get credit for that class, but you never know what's going to happen until you ask and you advocate for yourself and you push for yourself. So I started working on those courses and trying to complete what it is that I needed. I found myself short of 1 or 2 courses to meet a deadline for registration. And that was a barrier that beat my self-confidence down. I felt like I was never going to get in. I was never going to start my next journey or be able to complete that next goal in my life, or, for myself and for my family. It wasn't until, I want to say, the spring of 2016, during one of my courses, that we had a speaker come in. And the speaker spoke to us about another opportunity for your bachelor's here in San Diego. And it was a cohort hybrid program. And this cohort hybrid program was designed to give you the education that you needed for completing your bachelor's through a fast-paced hybrid in-person virtual opportunity. And so I started looking into it. I started kind of reevaluating my goals, my plans, and what it is that I had set in my life. And I decided to try it and go back to school. And I mean, not go back to school, but try to see if it was that opportunity that was there for me to continue my education. I met the requirements and they accepted me. It was amazing that I was able to get that opportunity. I was working full time. I worked at the school that my son was able to go to, with the help of TANF still assisting me with childcare. I ended up becoming over income, and my case did close for services, but I was still able to get assistance with childcare, which really helped me and benefited me through my journey of trying to be a mom, figure out, my work balance life, and working, going to school, and trying to get where it is that I needed to go. So once again, I had that resource. I made sure that I tried to figure out that everything was covered before I even tried starting to look into really if this was something that I can do. I spoke to people, my family and people that I really trust in my life, and they helped me come up with this plan and this idea, and gave me the support that I needed to continue my education. I did find it kind of hard to try to balance my life when it came to school. There was times where I felt like I wasn't going to complete my program that I had signed up for. And some of those reasons were just trying to balance school, work, home life, and find that level ground to where it was easy. Like, it wasn't easy. It was hard trying to figure out how I was going to balance my life. There was days that I struggled and that I didn't want to go to class, but I still pushed myself to get there. On the days that I had courses in person, I was up at 4 a.m. trying to get to work by 6 a.m. so I can get off in time to meet my class time at 4 p.m. And then have to stay there till 9 p.m. at night. That was hard. That was a very long day of being away from my family, from my kids, and relying on other people to help me. And that would be once to twice a week for a year and a half of my life, of where I had to depend on others and feel like I was missing things in my children's life. And I was missing things at home. And I really had to sit down and think about, back to my goals and my reasons for my momentum and for that drive that was keeping me going. And that was having that better education for myself to better my life to where it would better my children's and my family's life. And I had to go back and just kind of reiterate that to myself and let that be a constant reminder in my goal of life and where it was that I was heading. I completed my bachelor's in the fall of 2018 and walked in December of 2018. I was very relieved that I accomplished this goal. It was a struggle, it was hard, and I found myself, wanting to give up multiple times, but I just decided to keep on going. Um, I couldn't give up. I put in all this effort and all this determination in order to try to achieve this, and there was no way that I could just give up. And in a sense, just give up on myself or give up on my kids. I wanted them to see that you can do anything in your life as long as you put your mind to it. As long as you have that passion and that drive to continue on with what it is that you're doing. I wanted to make sure that they had that. And I wanted to show them that I've come a long way, and that no matter what you do in life or where you're at, you can always change your life around and continue doing something or find something to get you to where it is that you want to be in life. I found myself back at Scare in 2020 when I was offered a position as the MIS specialist. That happened about 3 months shy of COVID and the pandemic. It was really hard trying to kind of balance life and work in the pandemic and being locked down through this, the lockdown, figure out my new role, figure out my duties and how I was going to work and do everything that it is that I needed to do. I looked at different schooling opportunities and wanted to continue my education after my bachelor's. So I signed up at Point Loma Nazarene, which is the school that I completed my bachelor's in. It's located in Point Loma. And I started my journey in grad school with my major of education in leadership and learning. I can say that that journey, along with doing that through the year of 2020, was difficult. That was probably my biggest challenge. I found myself just really trying to just make it through. I was trying to figure out my work on top of implementing these new courses and trying to be an at-home teacher for my children while we were doing online schooling. So as I'm doing my online schooling on one end of the table, my children are sitting in different areas of the house doing their courses online, and I would have to consistently check in on them and make sure that they were doing what they needed to be doing. My son wasn't old enough to technically be in school yet, but thankfully he was able to start transitional kindergarten to where he was doing online class. Through 2020, things were kind of up and down. There was days that I was able to come into the office, times that I wasn't able to due to closures. And it was just a roller coaster. And I know it was like that for many people. They faced different challenges. I found different resources out there that could help me in different situations, like, working with my son's school, my daughter's school, having a childcare program that was able to still service my child from going back and forth during the times that I had to come into work, having Scare be open and understanding to different things in my life that were going on, and just being accommodating. I had to figure out a way to overcome everything, and I had to just kind of keep going back to what my drive was and why I was continuing my education, and deciding if it was the right time or if I needed to kind of take a break. But I felt like if I took a break, I probably would take a break a lot longer than I needed to. So I just continued to strive and push through. I completed my master's in 2021. This year in May, I, recapped on my journey multiple times after I completed my final course and completed my thesis, and really just sat down and just looked at everything that I overcame in life and how I got to where I am today, and the people who were there to help me, and the programs that were there to support me, and just all around the amount of support and how they all kind of came together and helped me with my momentum and my drive, and how each and every single different person that has crossed my path during my journey has made an impact on my life in one way or another. I found sometimes being really stressful and really hard, but then I just kept going back to what my reason was, and my reason were my children. My kids play a humongous role in my life, and I don't know what I would do without them. I don't know where I would be in life if I didn't have them to look up to. They were the people that I looked up to in life. I wanted to make sure that my life was better for them so that they could have a better life. And I feel like with everything that I've gone through in my journey, they have been my number one supporters and my number one reason. And so, with everything that I've gone to in my story, I hope that you take from this how you kind of find your story. What is your life like? And are you happy with where it is that you're at? What can you do to make things different for yourself? And how can you benefit from those changes? I know everybody's life is different and everybody's paths are different, and the way that everybody works is different, and that's great. I want you to see my story and things that I've gone through, and don't relate your life to mine. We all are different, but one thing that I know that a lot of us have in common, or all of us in general, is that we have a drive, and it's just finding it. And sometimes it might take a little bit longer to find it. Sometimes you might already know exactly what it is that you want to do. But I encourage you to keep going and keep finding your path and continue with your momentum and build on it. Momentum doesn't stop unless you stop, but still in a way it continues. It just kind of slowly trickles. Find your drive, find your passion, find what makes you keep going, find your reason, and just continue. Find those resources. TANF is amazing. They help you in many different ways. SCARE has been a blessing. I'm very grateful for the resources that are out here in the community and what they have been able to provide during this time and during my journey. And I'm hoping that you're able to find those resources for yourself and help you with your journey and help you continue to achieve what it is that you're achieving in life. And with that, I hope that it's something that even when barriers arise and you feel like there's nothing else that you can do, don't be afraid to ask, and just get out of that mindset of that you can't do this, that attitude, of where I don't think there's anything else I can do. There's always something else. There's always a different opportunity or a different idea. Just sometimes it takes a little bit longer to try to figure that out. And, being open and identifying different things, that you might need help with, and figuring that out, and then trying to be out there looking for those resources is really important, and it really does help. I really hope that, with this, it helps you kind of visualize your future and see where it is that you want to be in life, and, try to release those different boundaries that might be holding you back. Because a lot of times we find ourselves being the biggest barrier, and that, comes from our mindset and from our confidence in ourselves and how it is that we might, push ourselves to release those boundaries to where we can set our goals and, and visualize your own first, go back to your own personal experiences and use that. It's strength. It comes from a place within you that helps you kind of identify who you are, and it can give you a lot of power if you think of it in a way of like, what, I'm going to use this and I'm going to keep pushing forward, and I'm going to utilize everything that I can and just keep advocating for myself and pushing myself, to accomplish what it is and everything that I want to do. It can help in, anything from, you want to go to school, or you want to just look for work, or, you're having a hard time trying to find employment, the barriers of, transportation and childcare, there's different resources out there and different opportunities that can help you kind of overcome those. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than another, in order to get that assistance that you need, but also it's how you advocate for yourself and finding those people that can be there to support you and help advocate for you, to help you get where it is that you need to go, or where you need to be, or where you feel like you need to be. It's something, it takes a lot, but each and every one of us, we have it in us to be able to get there, and just keep your momentum going, and just continue to find your drive. Think about your story, and in one of our next trainings that we have, this will be a series of momentum that will cover different areas of your life. I would really like to hear your story and your personal experiences and how your life has led you to where you are today, because it's interesting listening to other people's stories, because sometimes you have a lot in common even though you think you don't, and you can relate in one way or another with someone, and that's how you build that communication and that relationship with others, and that bond and that strength within the community of asking questions and finding out what resources they had utilized, and giving different options of resources, and you learn new things, and so it helps kind of create this new world of opportunity and resources that can really help you, in maybe your next step or your next goals, because goals can always change. They can always be mended to kind of go around the path that you're on, and then you can just continue to keep having those go. Currently, I am trying to think of different goals of what I want to accomplish next or keep going. I am taking a break of education right now, but it is something that I am thinking about continuing again in my future. And just kind of making sure and just reevaluating my life and where I'm at, and just make sure that it's a good fit for myself and my family, and just thinking long-term benefits, short-term benefits, short-term goals, long-term goals, and how it is that I can get there, and just utilizing different resources in the community to try to help see what kind of support I can get to continue that. But I'm also taking time to just take in my family, and enjoy what's going on in the present life, and just always have in my mind that there still is more that I am out there that I can still accomplish and do in my life and my time for myself and my family. And so it all kind of wraps in together into my motivation and my drive and my reason. And I hope with that you can kind of sit there and think of your story and and work on your momentum and kind of see where it is and how you can still continue to drive in your life. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Heidi Beckenbach McGann, and I'm the counseling director here at SCARE. I'm also a licensed professional clinical counselor, and I provide direct services to clients as well as oversee the department. I've actually been working at SCARE for a little over, it'll be 10 years. And then before that, I was an intern. I started off when I was in my graduate school program, and I've just been here ever since. I guess they can't get rid of me. So I really enjoy the work that I do here. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and then also go over our counseling department, the services that we offer and what can be expected if you're interested in getting counseling services here. So my prior experience was working a lot with children and trauma. I've worked in group homes for abused and neglected children. I've worked with youth burn survivors, and then also with teens who are incarcerated in juvenile detention centers. And then now, also I oversee the department, and then I work in private practice as well. So that's a little bit about me. I'm a mom of 2 young kids, and bear with me, I'm going to be drinking coffee throughout this because my 3-year-old did not want to sleep last night. So definitely know the whole parenting role and enjoy working with parents and kids and families. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we continue on. So I wanted to let you know about how our counseling department got started. So the counseling department was created in the summer of 2009, and that was through a direct partnership with the University of San Diego's clinical mental health counseling program. And that's actually the program that I went through when I was in graduate school and how I ended up getting hooked up with SCARE for my internship. So the program was developed due to a lot of the disparity in counseling services for the Native population and community in San Diego. And it was also helpful for the school in allowing direct service hours for USD students to fulfill professional clinical counseling requirements. So it's been this really nice partnership that started so that we could offer free counseling services to the community. It operates under the umbrella of SCARE, and the goal of counseling is really just to help participants as they navigate situations, right? We've got a lot going on. A lot of us are parents. We've got a bunch of different personal things happening. And so we just want to make sure that we're providing support so that everybody can be successful in both their personal and professional lives. And that's the main goal of what we want to have and what we want to offer in providing our services. So the original counseling department was pretty small, but now we've been in the game for a little bit and it's started to grow a lot more. So now the counseling department has grown and is currently staffed by me, another full-time licensed clinician, 1 postmaster's graduate, and 3 graduate level interns, SCARE's counselor, and all the interns are seen by the licensed clinical supervisors that we have. So that's how we're able to provide the services that we offer. The counseling program continues to prepare counseling students to work with diverse populations, as well as provides excellent service to clients in need. So we're able to provide the services for all of the families and participants who are interested in receiving them. So eligible adult participants can access individual, group, couples, and career counseling through the SCARE Tribal TANF program, as well as the Native Networks program, and HAUCA, and then AIEC, our American Indian Education program. So we are able to provide counseling services to each of the different programs that are housed within SCARE, which is really nice. So we can provide counseling to as many people as need it. Native American youth can also access individual and group counseling through our Native Teen Talkers program, which is offered within the SCARE TANF training program, and also the American Indian Education Center program. We also have opportunities for smoking cessation through the Sacred Pipe Tobacco Use Prevention program, which is our 2B program as well. So I just kind of want to talk a little bit about, what we offer. I know I kind of mentioned it a little bit in regards to the grants and the different opportunities, but I wanted to kind of narrow it down a little bit more and talk specifically about some of the topics that we might address in counseling, whether or not that's in groups. So like I said before, we offer individual, group, couples, family counseling for all ages. So it's really nice. We're able to offer services to kiddos, to teenagers, and then adults as well. So, and in regards to the different groups that we have, currently we have a women's circle. And some of the topics the Women's Circle have focused in on have been on healthy relationships, emotional regulation, stress management, boundaries, parenting, self-compassion. They've utilized music therapy, also the topics of conflict resolution, coping skills for holiday stress, as well as grief. So a lot of different things. And when it comes to our groups and then our workshops that we offer, we really try to make sure that we're offering topics that are really pertinent to what's going on. So they fluctuate and change based off of who we have coming in and who's a part of our groups and what the needs might be at that moment. In regards to counseling for youth, there's currently, and for the past year and a half now, right? A lot of our youth-focused counseling services have been focused in on, transitions from the pandemic and the different things that have often come up for kids in regards to isolation or, transitioning back into in-person learning when we were dealing with the whole Zoom school online, managing how things have been changing in our world and how that's affecting our kids. So other topics that oftentimes can be addressed include self-esteem and body image, maybe peer pressure, drug and alcohol prevention, personal relationships and healthy choices, some things around family dynamics, right? If we're dealing with blended or divorced or separated families, making sure to help kids navigate those transitions, grief and loss issues, and then also, both for kids and teens and then adults, a lot of educational and career decisions, helping people try and figure out and navigate those aspects of whether or not they're interested in going into school or training programs or college and what's going to be the best fit for them on that journey. So we offer that. Right now we have a younger youth group option. So we really try to make sure we're meeting the needs of the community and what's happening at the moment. So the different groups that we offer can fluctuate based off of what the needs are. We also offer educational workshops periodically. And recently we've focused a lot on communication skills, boundary setting, stress reduction, coping skills, emotion regulation, and just managing the pandemic as a whole. I think that's come up a lot for people and trying to decide and figure out what's going to be working best for them and for their families, and, maintaining things as stuff completely continues to change for all of us. So, and as we're moving forward in regards to providing counseling services, COVID like with everyone else, we had to change up the way that we did things, right? So we began offering, originally we did most of our services in-house in our counseling rooms and in the counseling center. But with COVID, we transitioned to offering telehealth services. So now that we've noticed that people enjoy having telehealth and having some flexibility in the way that they receive services, we still want to be able to provide that. So we're moving a little bit more towards a hybrid model where that we can provide both in-person as well as telehealth options for. And we noticed that the telehealth option was very helpful for a lot of people. You know, it reduced barriers around transportation and time. A lot of us can fit it into different pockets of time within our schedule that may be different. Also, a lot of people don't live always close to scare, so it makes it a little bit more convenient to be able to have a session through your phone or your computer, or making it more manageable that way. And in regards to providing those telehealth services, we offer services through HIPAA compliant Zoom sessions. A lot of us became very familiar with Zoom throughout the pandemic, so we wanted to pick a platform that was easily accessible for those of us who were going to be utilizing it. We also utilize electronic health records in a program called Therapy Notes, so that our clients are able to fill out and sign forms online pretty easily through their own client portal. And that makes it a little bit more manageable. If anybody has any issues with technology, we are always able to print out forms or mail them to you in ways that'll make it easier for you to fill out and make sure that that gets accomplished in a different way. So it's been kind of nice being able to offer both. So for some people it's easier, but we have the option to either do things through paper format or also online. We're still obviously in a pandemic. We're still really monitoring what's happening and wanting to make sure that our clients are maintaining safety and that we're keeping everybody safe, both our staff and the clients that we see. So we're slowly on a case-by-case basis starting to see clients in person again. I've recorded video of what our waiting room and session rooms look like, as well as our play therapy room that we see children in, just so you can kind of get an understanding of what that would look like if you were interested in counseling services. Due to the recommendations of 6 feet, we're not using our smaller counseling rooms right now. We are utilizing our waiting room in order to be able to see clients in person, but also still maintain the distance that's necessary, to keep everybody healthy, safe, and secure. We want to make sure that, we're able to provide the right type of services for each person, but maintaining that and the recommendations. In regards to what we do here in regards to counseling, we just want to create a really safe and understanding space where our clients are able to work on whatever issues are coming up for them and might be barriers for them moving forward, whether or not that's in employment or education, or concerns that they might be having within their families. We have some really very passionate and caring counselors on staff, and they really work hard to help our participants reach these goals and just to thrive. We work hard in order to provide the best support and care possible. And then we really look forward to working with you in the future if counseling is something that you're interested in, either for yourself or for members of your family. And if you have any questions about counseling or the process, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Again, my name is Heidi Beckenbach McGann. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have that might be coming up for you, and seeing if counseling is the right choice and fit for you or for a member of your family. Thank you.
So if you plan on having in-person services, you can come through our back door at Scare and walk through. And this is where the counseling offices are. This is our waiting room area. Right now, due to COVID, we're utilizing this area for services so that we can maintain 6 feet distancing. But I'm also going to show you the inside of a regular counseling room, just in case we're starting to move towards being able to see clients within this area. And this is where counseling sessions will be held if you plan on seeing a counselor in our space here. The couches are really comfortable. Try and make it as a comfortable experience as possible. Okay, in here is the play therapy room that we have, where we have lots of different games and toys for our kid and youth participants in order for them to be able to attend different therapy sessions. We have our dollhouse, we've got sand tray, lots of arts and crafts and stuffed animals. And the kids really seem to enjoy all of the different activities that we have. We have counselors who specialize in working with kids and youth. And so this is the area that they're able to come into for their therapy sessions.
Hello, welcome to Getting Started. First things first, it's in the planning with Michelle O'Quinn. When you're thinking of returning to the workforce, you need to look into your availability. What time are you available? What is your real availability? We have an ideal time that we think is our spare time that we have available. But when you're looking into your availability, you need to look into your travel time. How much time do you have available for travel? And then do you have time for part-time or full-time hours? The next thing you need to look into is reliable transportation. Is the car or vehicle that you're using reliable? Do you know the bus routes from your home to your possible workplace? And then how much would it cost to take an Uber to where it is that you work? Sometimes you may need to use a combination of public transit and Uber to get where you need to go. Also, lastly, we need to look into your established childcare. Do you have reliable childcare? When relying upon a friend who offers childcare services, you're basically on their schedule. So if your friend is sick, that means that you do not have childcare. Therefore, you may need to establish backup childcare. Also look into childcare centers. Childcare centers are most ideal because if a teacher is sick, then they have substitutes to take their place, which does not interrupt your work schedule or your work week. Returning to school. Also, when you're returning to work, and your children are returning to school, make sure that you're knowledgeable of the school sick policy. Some schools now are requiring a COVID test in order for your child to return to work. Also, there are some schools that require certain COVID tests, where there's other schools that are more flexible in that area. So you may want to be brush up on the school sick policy so that you can articulate those policies to your new employment. What's new in the job search? Today, most people use online search engines when looking for a job. These places might be Indeed, company career boards, Craigslist, and ZipRecruiter. When setting up your profile for these search engines, a lot of times you will have to set up a profile. So you'll include your education, your volunteer experience, your work experience, and you can put references upon request, or you can already include those references. Word of mouth. So as you can see in the picture, it looks as though you have a couple of people looking at profiles on Facebook. You may want to put your settings to private on all social media, especially when you're doing word of mouth. You'll have a friend who tries to get you into their company. That company will look you up on Facebook or any other social media platform. You want to make sure that you are a candidate that they want in their establishment, and that you're not exhibiting toxic behavior online. The newest trend in hiring is that you first start with a phone screening. This helps employers screen candidates just by the way that they're able to articulate themselves and share their experiences, or if they have any experiences to share. Next, you may have a Zoom interview, and you want to make sure that you are presentable, that your background is presentable. You don't want to have a Zoom interview and your background is a mess or disheveled. And then next, you may have an in-person interview. In most cases, that in-person interview will be with a panel of personnel who will interview you to see if you're a good candidate for their company. Additional employment options. So now we have in-person option, working from home, or hybrid. Hybrid would be working in person some days and working from home other days. Adaptability, flexibility, and learning. So not everyone has an extensive work experience background, but employers want to see your adaptability, and that is your ability to initiate and welcome change and be ready and willing to be trained to develop those skills that the company needs. Your flexibility would be your ability to adjust to change. And not everyone is flexible. Some employees, they become very rigid in their work. And as we are in this post-COVID era, we have to be flexible and we have to be adaptable, just because county guidelines and government guidelines surrounding COVID, they change our work environment. Especially in the beginning of COVID, it was almost day by day. So in this post-COVID era, you want to identify your goals. What are your new goals? If you have new goals, identify your pathways to get there. And it's okay to have goals. And sometimes, well, as we sat through this COVID, you may have found that what you were doing before is not what you want to do now. So just identify your goals and identify the pathways in which to get there. What avenues in that pathway have changed, if they've changed. There may be extra steps that you need to take in order to reach that goal. Are there significant adjustments that need to be made? Are there adjustments that need to be made in your personal life to reach that goal? Are there adjustments that need to be made in your educational goals? So maybe you need to go to a particular school in order to reach that goal, where those services were offered at one place and they're no longer being offered. You may need to go somewhere else. And then lastly, are you prepared to make those adjustments? So we have to be very honest with ourselves and how much flexibility and adaptability we're willing to give in order to reach our goals. So those are some things that may to consider that and getting started and to begin your planning with returning to the workforce. This is Michelle O'Quinn, and thank you for watching my presentation on getting started. First things first, and it's in the plan.
Hi everybody, my name is Kate Turek. I am the career counselor at SCARE in Ventura, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how to motivate yourself to achieve your goals. So what is motivation? Motivation is from inside you. That's the best type of motivation versus motivation from friends or family or neighbors. But the best motivation is something that you seek within yourself, and it helps you to reach a goal and be successful. How do you find motivation? Do you get motivated by doing something because you're passionate? Are you motivated because you're really good at something, so you continue doing it? Are your friends pushing you to participate in something, and that's the only motivation you've got? Whatever it may be, motivation, the best type, is the one that comes from inside of you. This slide is how we set our goals for our life. So goals can range from small goals like making sure we pay our rent on time to large goals like going to college or completing a certificate, something like that. So number one is dividing your goals into smaller pieces so it's more manageable. And number two, which is making a clear map to reach that goal. So a good example for number one and number two is you would like to work in a medical field, but you don't know where to start. You're completely lost. You just know you want to work somewhere medical if you heard great things from someone. So you can sit down with a TANF case manager or a SCARE employee, and you can build a route to reach your desired goal. A lot of people come into us, they sit down, they don't know what they want to do, but they do know kind of an idea of what they would like to do. And so we kind of make it a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit more like a bite-sized bit, and it makes it easier to digest and easier to reach, so small little bits. which of course making it easy to reach, better to improve your sense of accomplishment, and then of course brings you one step closer to reaching your ultimate goal. When it comes to making a clear map, I'm talking about something visual, something you can see. So this can be broken down into small bits again, whether that's days, weeks, months. You have set accomplishments that you're going for. And this again is trying to achieve the ultimate goal, whatever that may be. Number 3 is writing down the barriers that could limit you reaching that ultimate goal. So what are the barriers that could slow your progress towards your goal? How will you overcome or get the assistance to help overcome the barriers you may hit while you're reaching a goal? Because everyone will, whether it's small barriers like your car breaks down to bigger barriers, you have a baby. We need to make that list of things that possibly could happen so then we're ready when it does. And a good example is one of our TANF participants here in Ventura, and she came in with a newborn baby. She was working part-time. She's working at a really small convenience liquor store in a smaller town within the county. And she knew she wanted to do something because she's getting minimum wage. She now has a baby and she needs to be able to, pay for the basics to keep this baby happy, healthy, and as well as keeping herself happy and healthy. So we made a list of possible careers which would fit her lifestyle, her skills, and the passions that she believed she had. We kind of dug a little bit deeper, found more passions, things that she enjoyed watching on TV, things that didn't gross her out, stuff like that. And then once we got through all of that, we realized that medical field might be a really good option for her. And because it is a very large industry in our county, it's a good opportunity for a career. So we set her up with talking to her case manager at TANF, and they were able to help her with overcoming basic barriers in childcare with food and other basic needs that she, required. And this reduced her needs for more hours at her convenience store job. And in turn, that helped her prioritize her schooling. So we assisted her with getting that schooling set up, finding a school that had transferable units. So if she decided she wanted to go further later, she had the opportunity to use those units to become a certified nursing assistant or later a registered nurse. So giving her that opportunity to take those extra leaps if she chooses to do so later on. We helped with her books and her supplies, again, reducing the need for more hours at her job. And this allowed her to accomplish her medical assisting certificate. She now has that. While she was in school, she was able to get an internship and it was paid, which was really great for her. And in turn, this landed her a full-time career that had benefits and everything she could ask for, as well as about twice the pay that she was making originally. I think that's a great example of somebody who was able to reach those goals by setting up small little tidbits in order to reach them. It took her about 8 months to complete, but we set it up in basic small bits. During the first month, we wanted her to accomplish one thing. She kept progress with us, so then we knew how she was doing in her classes. If she was having issues, we have the tutor available. Even though it had taken a while, and she might have had moments, which I know she did call me on numerous occasions, really feeling like she was failing, she was not doing good enough. In the end, she felt accomplished because she did it and we were able to help her, which was wonderful. But a lot of it had to do with her knowing she had someone she could rely on, knowing that she could reach out, she could ask for help and not feel like, anyone was judging her. We're helping her because we know it was going to reduce something and allow her to reach that ultimate goal and live a better life and feel the accomplishment. And my hope is that she'll become a registered nurse, but that is up to her. The next slide is about barriers that influence our goals. So again, we're going into barriers just like the previous TANF participant. Barriers come in all shapes and sizes. They can range from things like money. Do you have the money to pay your bills? Are you going to be able to buy food? Can you go to school? Will you qualify for FAFSA? Can I get a scholarship? Work schedules. Are you working at night? Are you working during the day, but you're working full time? When are you going to sleep? When are you going to go to school? When are you going to study? If you worked in the day and you have kids, when do you study? When do you go to school? Are you going to have to stay up late? I mean, there's so many questions involved. Housing, can you afford rent? Do you need roommates? I myself have gone through this when I was in college, living up in the Bay Area. Of course, it's very expensive living up there. And I was working full time. I was going full time. I was stressing full time. And I was very, very tired. I was just trying to get it done because I didn't want to be in school anymore. I was exhausted. So I worked as much as I could. And I really couldn't afford much when I first moved in up north. And I ended up renting bathtubs. Yes, you heard me right. I actually rented bathtubs and slept in a sleeping bag. I rented sofas, so I would have somewhere soft to sleep. I ended up in a studio with 4 adults. That's one big room, people. That's 400 square feet with 4 adults in it. And I also rented a small walk-in closet at one point. And this lasted for a few months. I was able to set aside money and save up until I was actually able to get a studio apartment with a friend from school. So I wasn't with a bunch of strangers and I wasn't in a bathtub. So I understand the not being happy with our living situations or being in a living situation that's not the best. Even to this day, my mom does not know about the many places I was living, floors I was sleeping on, to make sure that I was not out on the street or without a roof over my head. So it was incredibly stressful, and some people might be experiencing this right now, but it's incredibly stressful. And I really didn't know if I could afford the top ramen that I was living on every month. So my mom would send me $5, which was the most she had at the end of the month. She would send me $5, thinking that would go really far. And I ended up buying oranges so I wouldn't get gout at the end of the year. So every month was very interesting. I lived on ramen. I had random housing, but in the end, I graduated college and I got a great job. So, we have these things that may influence the ability to match our goal, and it might cause issues and might cause roadblocks. But if we're determined, we will get to where we want to get to. Housing, of course, comes in all shapes and sizes, but it can also influence the way we sleep, or if we sleep at all, which in turn can affect our career, our educational goals, all of those things. Because if we're not sleeping, we're not going to do well at school, and we're not going to do well at work. So another influence or barrier would be childcare. Where you're going to bring your kids, if you're going to be going to school or you're at work full time, where are your kids going to go? How are you going to pay for that? Will you have the money to pay for that? If you have a special needs child, will adult daycare care for your child, or you're going to need those extra little bits of assistance, which TANF provides, as well as us at SCARE. So we also will give you resources to help provide you with that additional information on places that may assist you with very specifics to your lifestyle or your family needs. Transportation, do you have a car? Will you need to take a bus, walk, ride a bike? Can you trust that transportation is going to get you to an interview or a job on time? And will you have the money to pay for gas or tickets to get on a bus? I mean, another example, I lived in a big city. So pretty much in order to get from point A to point B, you had to take a bus or a cable car or some type of public transportation. And I actually, on numerous occasions, would have to get to class, and I would run to the bus station with all my junk for class. And only once did this happen, but I physically got pushed off a bus, which was packed like a sardine can. The second bus did not show up on time. I ended up having to run with a backpack and a bunch of other bags for class, about 14 blocks, city blocks, which are quite large, in order to get to my class on time, which of course I did not get there on time, but I tried at least. Sobriety, what works best with counseling, anxiety, depression, other mental issues, what will keep you from relapsing, the ultimate goal. We want to make sure that doesn't happen. And again, that's another influence on reaching our goals. Family and friends. Are your friends or your family dragging you down? Are they telling you that you're not going to be able to reach it? You're not smart enough. You're not driven enough. I mean, these could be outside influences even in school that are influencing the way you're thinking about yourself. And personally, this happened to me in high school. I was your average student. Didn't do that great. Was really into athletics, but when it came to math and science, not really into those things. And my college counselor / career counselor in high school basically told me I was too dumb to ever go to college. Thankfully, I'm an incredibly driven person and I wanted to prove him wrong, which I later did. But this is an area you really don't want to surround yourself with people who are going to be dragging you down. You want people who are going to be there when you hit the hard times, people who are going to push you when you need to be pushed, people who are going to pull you when you feel like you're sinking. So surrounding yourself with good friends and good family members, this can be a major barrier for a lot of people. And then finally, mental health. So anxiety and stress from barriers like the ones that I spoke about earlier. How can we better our mental health so we can handle the roadblocks that will be thrown at us? Not that may be thrown at us. Everyone's going to have them. Things like meditation, quiet time, drawing, painting, artwork, photography, going for a walk, music, anything that will calm your mind, de-stress, and make you just take a second for yourself. That's not a selfish thing to do. It's really good to give ourselves a little bit of time. Next slide is about overcoming our barriers. So everyone will occasionally struggle. What is important is how we react to the struggle. Will you give up or will you keep going no matter what? The choice is always yours. The most difficult obstacles are the ones we place in front of ourselves. That is a very good quote. It really says a lot about, the obstacles that are usually thrown at us are things to make us learn something. And then of course, grit. What is the word? What is grit? What does it mean to us as people who are trying to reach a goal? And grit is perseverance, it's passion for long-term goals. Grit means working strenuously towards challenges and maintaining both effort and interest over years and years despite failure, adversity, and even stalls in progress. An example would be that you would get sidelined by a family situation, a birth, a crisis of some sort, a trauma. Something has stopped you pursuing your goal in that moment. If you have grit, you can overcome by persevering even in the hardest times, looking towards the light in the tunnel, getting pushed, pushing yourself, having others push you. It is a key to being able to reach those goals in the end. Next slide. This one is about failure, and it is a lesson to be learned. Throughout life, you will have disappointment, failure, misfortune, even occasionally boredom. Achievement is the product of both talent and effort. It may take time, fails, and even disappointment, but this is one of the best ways to learn. If you don't fail, there really isn't a way to achieve. We learn from everything good or bad that happens in our lives. By learning from these moments, we can make better decisions for next time, because there will always be a next time. And using those failures, those disappointments, those things that may have happened, and using them to the best of our ability to better our next situation, because we'll always hit roads. No matter what happens, you're going to hit something and it's going to cause an issue. And it's just the way you react to it that's going to determine whether you're going to reach that goal or not. And one of my favorites, which is finding support. I mean, you may have family that is supportive, you may have siblings, you may have friends that are really supportive. There's always SCARE, there's always TANF, and there's also outside resources that you may ask for assistance from. It's never a bad thing to ask for assistance. One of the biggest and easiest forms of reaching a goal is through finding someone or something that will be there when you hit the roadblocks, that will inspire you to keep dreaming and will push you even when you're exhausted, so you reach that goal at the end of the tunnel. And personally, I found mine in my grandma. She inspired me to do more than what my parents had done. She passed while I was attending college, but I took every word that she ever said to me really, truly to heart. Every step you take, whether good, bad, or ugly, is teaching you a lesson. which will probably come back, as I said before, at some point or another, and force you to overcome it. She was an adult learner. She was a mother of 3. She stopped going to college because her husband wanted to go to college, and during that time, that was priority as the man of the house. So he went off to college, and my grandma was raising 3 very young children, one all after the other. She actually went back to college after my grandfather finished, and as a full-time mom, as a full-time student, as a part-time teaching assistant, she actually became a full-blown teacher at the age of 50. And she went on and teach until she was in her late 80s. And she didn't retire. She basically wrote it out, and not because she had to, because she had an extreme passion for what she did. She wanted people to be inspired to learn and to build a foundation and better their lives and the lives of their families. And when they had her memorial, it was amazing. Each of her students went on to become fabulous individuals, trades, lawyers, graduates, doctors, teachers, mechanics, welders. She inspired me personally to reach higher than anyone expected of me and my family. So, as I said earlier, I was your average student. I was really great at sports, but when it came to specifics at school, boredom, and not being interested in a subject really didn't do well. So just because you didn't do good in high school does not mean you won't do well later. If you enjoy something, you will do well. That's one of, because you're going to put more effort into it. My sister, who's younger than me, was always the smart one. She's always been gifted. Nothing was ever hard. Everything was always easy. So, everyone assumed, she'd go off to a 4-year, she would do amazing, which she did. But with me, my parents were like, well, maybe you shouldn't think about college. Maybe you should try community college. I don't know if you'll do well. It was this question of, can she do it? She's average. So I ended up going to community college. I was a student athlete and played water polo, and I did swimming. And I really started developing a love of very specific courses in college. And they were very diverse, from things like sociology to architecture. So you never knew what I was going to take next. I was kind of testing everything because I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And it's funny because I actually found a lot of the subjects that I hated in high school, I hated in college: math and science, specifically math. My grandma was always, it's always been in the back of my head, but my grandma always said, we never say I can't. We only say I can. She always pushed me a little harder, even when I didn't want to budge. Even when my mom would tell me, maybe that's not the best class for you. Maybe it's not a good fit for you. And in the end, I graduated top of my class with my bachelor's degree. And I knew at that time, hey, you graduated the top of your class. You might not have done that great in high school, but you can do more. So I decided I'd take that next step, the next leap. And of course was thrown with getting pregnant and being in grad school, and later having my son early and having a thesis due the next day. So I had a baby, had to figure out how to write an essay the next day, a very long 50+ page essay regarding my major. And it would take weeks before I found out whether or not I graduated. So it's been an interesting ride, a lot of pitfalls, a lot of random situations. And just like anybody else, you're going to have the highs and lows, but it's always moving forward, the momentum, getting through it and figuring out a path, diverting your path if you need to reach that ultimate goal. And I found it. I found my passion. I started as an intern. I worked in a design place. I've worked everywhere. But through all of that, and then starting a job after my bachelor's, working full time and stuff, In a college setting, I realized how much I liked working with students and I liked working with people and I liked helping them and guiding them and making them feel like they could do it, that they were empowered. I wanted to be the opposite person from the counselor I had in high school, to push and to tell people they could do it. They had to put their mind to it, and I would be there for them no matter what. I will be anybody's mentor. I will push and push and push because I know people can do more than they think they can. So from all of that, I found my need to help others. And I found my need to build that bridge between our goals, our strengths, our weaknesses, and our education. So thank you for letting me talk a little bit today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Hello there. You've just heard some great content from my colleagues Taylor, Tekka, Heidi, Michelle, and Kate, all talking about this wonderful momentum series that we're producing for you in the community. And I'm here just to kind of wrap it all together and give those finishing touches on why we're putting this series on, what the importance of momentum is in your lives, and just give a little bit about myself and what I do here at SCARE and what we can provide for you in the community. So I want to start off with a very simple definition of what momentum is. Now, momentum is defined as the product of an object's movement, and that's found by multiplying mass times velocity. Now that's very scientific, I understand that, but I am a very scientific person. I deal with computers and I deal with science all day, so I'm going to give you from that perspective what momentum is. And coming from a physics perspective, physics is the science of life. It's gravity. It's why things move. It's why things interact with one another. And that's a very important subject, even in your personal lives. Now, bear with me now. It may not seem like it right now, but at the end of my portion here, I think you'll understand why I'm coming from a very scientific perspective. So let's try and imagine, if you will, a snowball on the top of a mountaintop. When you first hit the snowball, it's very, very small. As a matter of fact, you can just take a little bit in your fingers and kind of roll it down the hill. And if you were to observe this snowball coming down this great mountaintop, you'll notice that as it rolls, it grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and the bigger that it gets, the faster it gets. That's a very simplistic example of what momentum is. And that's important because if the goal is to achieve the biggest snowball possible, you want to start from the highest point and hope that it gathers as much snow as possible as it goes down the hill to become the biggest snowball that it can. Well, how does that relate to your life? How does that relate to my life? How does that relate to our lives in general? Well, we all have goals in our lives, or at least we should be setting goals in our lives. And in order to achieve those goals, it's going to take some sort of effort. And once that effort is put forth, it builds up steam, the gears start turning, the ball starts rolling, so to speak. That's kind of where that phrase came from. Getting the ball rolling is like getting a snowball started from the top of the mountain, because once it starts rolling, what's going to stop that snowball? You know, once it gets to a certain mass, nothing's going to stop that thing from rolling down the hill. So in our lives, when we set goals, we ought to have a focus and a vision, and it just takes a little bit of effort. It takes a little bit of effort to get that momentum within ourselves going. And once we have that first achievement, it can lead to so many more vast opportunities, so many more accomplishments, and just so much more fulfillment in our lives. Now here at SCARE, we're a resource center for you, and we offer so many great services, whether it's career services, counseling. I'm the computer instructor here. I didn't even introduce my name. My name is Atle Garcia, and I am the computer instructor here. And I teach various different things with the computers, whether it's basic computer literacy, understanding what a mouse and keyboard is, how they interact with files, what a directory is, things like that. Whether it's typing, if you want to become an efficient typist or even an elite typist, I can give you a course on just getting the proper format and form and function for your fingers on the keyboard, and over time with practice you will become a very efficient typist. Microsoft certifications, Microsoft Office products, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access. These are all programs that I'm able to provide for you in a teaching setting, in a way that you will understand it and be able to utilize it moving forward in your goals. I'll get to that more later on. I still want to get this introduction underway. So, as it comes to setting goals, you want to be, or we all have a desire to be the best person that we can possibly be. And what the best means is very subjective. What's best for person A might be completely different from person B. So once you decide in your heart and in your mind what you want to do in your life, or what accomplishments you want to pursue, what achievements you want to fulfill, then you have the destination way down the line. Now here's the starting point. It's up to us in our individual lives to get that first step started, to get that ball rolling, which is going to build momentum. So let's go back to the snowball example that I just referred to. At the very beginning, the snowball is just a few flakes of snow. It takes effort from us to actually combine that snow to make it a little ball. And then it takes more of our own effort to actually push it down the hill. Now, in a very realistic example, we're gonna need about a baseball-sized snowball to even get anything rolling. You take a little things in your dust, it's really not gonna go anywhere. So it takes a lot of effort initially. The initial effort is gonna be a struggle sometimes. We gotta actually form the snowball, we gotta pack it, and then we actually have to put effort into rolling it down the hill. Now, in the real world, there's friction and there's resistance. And I'm not gonna give you a whole physics lecture here, but that is something that needs to be considered when rolling the snowball down the hill. Many times the snowball may stop. It may come into a ditch. It may, the wind may blow it, and gravity may not take its full course until a certain point. Now that's important because in our lives, when we're setting our goals and we're trying to get our momentum started, there's gonna be obstacles, even our own selves. It takes a lot of discipline to stay focused on a goal. There's gonna be days when we get up and we don't wanna go to work. We don't want to go study our materials. We don't want to get out of bed. That's an obstacle that we have to actually overcome to keep that momentum going. Just like with the snowball, if there's a ditch, we're gonna have to push a little bit harder to get it out of the ditch. If there's wind, we have to push a little bit harder to overcome that wind. So in our lives, when we're setting our goals, once we have the goal and we have our starting point, along the way, as we're trying to get our achievements, there's gonna be obstacles, and that's just a fact of life. I wish I can tell you, you come here, things are gonna be great, and it's just gonna be fantasy land for everyone. But unfortunately, life doesn't work that way, and it's gonna take a lot of effort on your part. But in order for that effort to have any sort of unction behind it, it needs momentum to push it forward. Now think about this. In the beginning, when you're trying to roll the snowball down the hill, the ditch is gonna stop it because it's a very small snowball. There's not a lot of force behind it. Now, when that snowball is massive and it's rolling down that hill, even if there is a ditch, it's gonna roll right over that ditch. It's gonna overcome that obstacle like it was nothing. And that's the importance of momentum. In the beginning, like I said, it's gonna be a struggle. It's gonna take a lot of effort, a lot of willpower, a lot of discipline to just get that first step, to take that first step towards your goal. But once you start walking, it eventually becomes a fast walk, which eventually becomes a jog, which becomes a run, which is gonna eventually lead into a sprint. And once that momentum is going and going and going, there's nothing that you can't do. Now, I'm a firm believer in there's nothing I can't do. If there's something I want to do, I go do it because I believe that I can do it. Now, am I always successful? Of course not. There's gonna be times when we fail in our lives, but it's called failing forward. We ought to not take failures as a sign of our inadequacies or our incompetence or our just lack of accomplishment is the best way to say it. We ought not to see failures that way. We ought to see failures as learning experiences. Man, that didn't work out last time. Why didn't that work out so well? Let's go reevaluate, let's correct and reapply. Sports teams do this. Sports teams, when they play games, they always watch footage of their opponents, of their own game, so they can see and strategize how to make themselves better. Remember, this momentum series is all about helping you and you and ourselves, even giving this presentation, I'm talking to myself right now. It's all about giving ourselves the inspiration and the motivation to go and be successful in whatever venture we're trying to pursue. That's not always easy, like I mentioned, but once that steam gets going, there's nothing we can't do. So like I mentioned, yeah, of course there are times when I fail. Of course there's going to be times when you fail, when we all fail. But we ought to look back, reflect, adapt, and overcome. And then go on to the next accomplishment. I'll share a little bit about one of my something that I'm actually proud that I was able to accomplish. You know, I'm a young guy, and every young guy's got to have a car. So a few years ago, my pursuit was buying my dream car. And as a young guy with not a lot of money, that may seem impossible for a lot of people. But I had that determination, I had that willpower, I had that diligence, and I worked, I saved, and I was able to buy my car. So I consider that a very huge accomplishment. I was able to buy the car of my dreams from a very young age, drive it, go racing with it on the track, and have all my fun with it. And now, when I'm older, I could never say, man, I wish I would have tried that, or regret not even attempting to. Now that's a successful accomplishment. There have been failures. I work out a lot, and whenever I go to the gym, I always strive to set new records for myself, new personal records, whether it's lifting weight, endurance on the treadmill, a new speed for running a mile. I always try and set goals. And if I set a goal and I don't accomplish it, you know, it's a failure. It's a failure. You know, failure is not a negative, it's not a bad word. I know a lot of people shy away from wanting to admit their failures, but it's healthy to admit them. Because when you admit them, it's when you're allowed to reflect on them and, like I said, adapt and overcome and become a better person because of it. So one of my recent failures in the gym was I was trying to set a new record for lifting some weight, and I had my friend helping me. And as I was working my way up and preparing myself in that day just to lift this massive amount, I wasn't able to lift it. You know, my body gave out, my muscles said, oh, can't do it anymore. So, you know, it was a failure. I didn't feel happy because I didn't get the accomplishment. However, that's not going to stop me from progressing. That's not going to stop me from fulfilling my mission. Now I'm more determined than ever to lift that weight up because I'm not going to let that weight stop me from progressing. So, and that's the purpose of momentum. The reason I'm able to feel that way is because I've been working out for so long, and I know that it comes in strides. You know, sometimes you have your good days, sometimes you have your bad days. But I've been working out for so long that I already have the momentum in that aspect of my life. As far as achieving an accomplishment like buying my car, I have my momentum in that aspect of life. So momentum is not an all-around, one time you get it, it's good for the rest of all of your different life aspirations. What it is once you get it in one area of life, you use what you learn in that area to apply to a new area of your life, and then a new area, and then a new area, and then that's how you become a well-rounded, motivated individual. Now, we are a resource center, and we're hoping to give you the inspiration, encouragement, and just that little push that you need to get you motivated on your financial endeavors, on your employment endeavors, whether or even family matters. We have counseling services that Heidi mentioned that are available to you. You know, if you're looking to change one of those aspects of your life, that's what we're here for. And you know, it's a long introduction, but that is why we're talking about momentum. That is why we named this series the Momentum Series, because I have to admit, the last 2 years have been rough. You know, ever since the mandatory lockdowns with this disease that came over into our nation, things have been rough. You know, it's been really hard trying to get that engine started again once everything's shut down. And now, hopefully, there's going to be bright horizons coming in the future. You know, that there's been a lot less restrictions on us. We're able to go out and sort of get back to normalcy prior to the lockdowns and the mask and the mandates and all that. So now that we're starting to do that, there's the perfect time for this Momentum series to hopefully inspire you moving forward. As we start to get our lives back on track, we should be setting goals. We should be setting aspirations. We should be striving to accomplish something. And we're here to help. No matter what that is, if we have a service that's able to provide that for you, we want to provide that for you. We want to help you. But I want you to remember, just like with the snowball, it's going to take a little bit of effort on your part. We are a resource, and we certainly want to provide the best quality service that we can. But we can only provide the services if you're willing to put forth the effort that it takes to utilize those services. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Let's say someone wanted to come in and take a typing class. Well, I am more than ready and able to provide the typing education and instruction. However, I can't teach someone who never shows up. I can't teach someone who never practices. I can't teach someone who's not willing to listen to my instruction. So that's kind of the effort that I'm talking about. It's going to take some effort on your part as well as on our part. First, you show up, you show the commitment, and then I am able to instill upon you the instruction. And then you take that instruction and you apply it, you practice, and you come back for more instruction. It's building that snowball little by little. You start off with a few snowflakes, over time, after compacting it, you have a nice little snowball. And once you hit the snowball, you still got to roll it down the hill. So, like I said, we're a resource, and it's going to take effort on your part. And I understand effort sometimes is difficult. Effort sometimes is something that takes a lot out of us just to even get started. But that's when we're our strongest. When we can overcome those obstacles of, oh, I don't want to get out of bed. Oh, I don't want to go to school. Oh, I don't want to go to work. When you can still go and be productive, when you have that mindset, that is where true growth happens. Now let me just talk about what I do and what I can provide for you now. That was, like I said, a very, very long introduction, but I'm hoping that it was helpful to you and helps you understand the perspective here. I've mentioned before several times, even during this presentation, that we are a resource center. Now, a resource is something that we use to aid us in our ventures. Let's say I was reading a book. I was reading a book and there was a word that I didn't understand. Well, the resource that I would use to help me understand this word would be a dictionary. So I would have to go to the dictionary, look up the word, understand the definition, and then come back to my book and continue reading the book. Well, our lives are no different. And I'm only going to use employment because that seems to be the primary focus of SCARE right now, is trying to get individuals primed to be a very valuable candidate for employment at an employment opportunity. So I'm going to use that as my analogies when I'm explaining the Momentum series to you. So if someone were to come here for employment and one of the employment opportunities mentioned that they need to be able to type a certain speed, well, that's like reading the book. They're going through their lives, they found an opportunity that they may need help in. So now they come to SCARE and they ask for me and I provide the service to them. After reading the definition, after going through the typing course and practicing and becoming proficient and up to a level that is acceptable to the employer, then they can go back into the book or back into their employment search and proceed with their applications. And that's a small example of what we are here to offer, and we really want to offer you here at SCARE. We're just here to be a resource to you. When something comes along that you need a skill set in, or you need practice interviewing, or you need opportunities to apply for, or you need counseling for your family, or whatever it is, that's what we're here for, and we really want to provide that to you. And we welcome you to come straight in and just believe that anything is possible. Believe that when you put forth the effort and you strive for something, that you will and can achieve it. There may be some failures along the way. There may be some obstacles along the way. But what are obstacles when you have momentum? So the primary focus here is just get that first step. The first step is always the hardest. It really, really is. Think about a baby trying to learn how to walk. They've never done it before, but they see their parents, they see their siblings, they see other people in the world walking. So after observing, they attempt. And after a few failures, they finally succeed. Well, our lives are no different. Let's attempt ourselves to get some momentum going. There's going to be some struggles, there's going to be some failures, but let us encourage you, let us help you. Let us help you get that steam going. And once you become a steam engine locomotive, what's going to stop you? What's going to stop you from achieving your dreams? What's going to stop you from accomplishing anything you want to accomplish? So now, what can we offer you by way of computers? Well, like I mentioned before, we can offer you basic computer literacy. For some of you who have, let's say, never operated a computer, or you have your apprehensions, you have your fears about computers because there's just so much information overload, I can break it down for you into digestible pieces that are easy to understand and to help you feel comfortable with a computer. Because let's face it, the computers are the future. They're the wave of the future right now. They're going to be in every aspect of employment, and it would make a lot of sense to be able to operate a computer so you can go and show employers, hey, I know what I'm doing and I can be a successful candidate for this position. So whether it's basic computer literacy, understanding a mouse, understanding what a monitor is, what a tower is, how to use your sound system, how to plug in speakers, headphones, how to navigate into the directories to learn how to save files, how to protect files if you don't want somebody to access them, how to save files, how to modify files, and all the different kinds of files that we have, but whether it's audio files, video files, Microsoft Words, PDFs, Access, Excel, PowerPoint, all these kinds of things I can instruct you on to make you feel very comfortable in front of the computer, which I'm sure right now for a lot of you may seem like, oh, that's never going to happen, but let's not tell ourselves that's never going to happen. Let's tell ourselves, let's build some steam. I'm a small snowball right now, but I think over time, I'll be this massive boulder that nothing can stop me. Let's change that mindset. Let's have a positive outlook. Let's have an optimistic outlook so that we can be successful. You know, I've heard it said that our lives are what we think it is. Our lives are what we think it is. So if I think that I'm a failure, or I'm inadequate, or I lack positive qualities, then my outlook on life will be through that lens, and I will be this unhappy person because of what I think about myself. On the flip side, if I think that I am, strong, courageous, intelligent, knowledgeable, then that's the lens that I'm going to perceive in the world. So let's tell ourselves good things and not bad things. And here at Scare, we're only going to tell you good things. We're never going to tell you anything bad, because we want to encourage you. We want to help you. Now, constructive criticism is a real thing, and it is very important. So you may get some criticisms here and there just to help you become better, but we're never going to look down upon you. We're here, and we're a positive environment. So now I talked about computer literacy. Let's talk about typing. There's really not much else to say about it other than if you've never typed before, after going through my course, which is only a 3-week course, in 3 weeks you learn how to navigate the keyboard, and then another 6 weeks after that, it's straight practice until you become faster and faster. And that's how the typing course works. And then you can put on your resumes, hey, I know how to type 50 words a minute, 70 words a minute, 60 words a minute, or whatever your goals may be. Why not strive for the best? Why not strive for 100? It's possible if with enough practice, but try and strive for what it is that you're looking for. After typing, Microsoft Office certification. This is the big one. This is the one that is going to make the most impact on your resumes, because if you were to put on your resume that you know how to do Microsoft Word, to a prospective employer looking at that resume, they don't know you, they never met you before, and I'm not going to say they don't, but they can't. And it's sad that they can't, but they cannot just take everything on that resume as face value, because there's people in the world who misrepresent themselves on resumes. So now employers want certifications, they want support, they want evidence proving that what's on your resume is actually true. So with Microsoft Office certifications, you'll be able to put that you're Microsoft Office certified. Microsoft Word is the biggest one. Almost every corporation out there uses Microsoft Word for word processing. So if you come to us and we teach you and instruct you, and then you then go in further and get the certification, that is a huge win on your resume. And then if you want to take it a step further, Excel is the next biggest one that's used in corporations, because we need spreadsheets to manage data. We need spreadsheets to be able to look up data and to query data and to organize data and to create charts and graphs and all these things. And that's a very important skill set to have. So with the Microsoft Office certifications, you're able to put all of these very, very highly sought after proficiencies on your resume. It just makes you stand out. You want to be a standout candidate. And then finally, we have QuickBooks as well. QuickBooks is the bookkeeping program. So it's for payroll, it's for accounts receivable, accounts payable, and managing the finances of a corporation. If that's something that you're interested in, if you feel like you're a numbers person, we offer certification in that as well. And unlike a traditional college or a traditional trade school, we tailor our experience for you. Like I said, we're a resource center, so you come to us with exactly what it is that you're looking for, and if we're able to provide it, that's exactly what we provide. Now, I went to college, I have my degrees, and I can tell you right now, colleges make you take classes that you don't necessarily need for the career that you're pursuing. Like, I'm a computer science major. I got my degree in computer science, and yet I had to take art classes, which has nothing to do with my computer science degree. So sometimes when you go to college, and I'm not bashing colleges by any means, but if you're looking for a tailored experience, we're the place to come to, because we're not going to make you take extraneous classes that you don't need. If you want to learn Word, you come here for Word, we provide you with Word and Word alone. We're not going to make you jump through hoops and hurdles to accumulate the certain number of credits so that you can then go and take the exam and become certified. You come for Word, we teach you Word. You come for typing, we teach you typing. You come for job readiness, we give you job readiness. You come for interview experience, we give you interview experience. You come to us for what you need, and if it's in our range of services that we're able to offer, we will 100% provide that to you, and that alone, because we're here to serve you. We are a resource center and we want to serve you, and we'd like for you to come to us so that we can be an encouragement to you. That's about all that I have to say about the Momentum series, why Momentum is so important, what it is that I can offer you as the computer instructor here, and what you can do for your lives and pursue your dreams. Remember, there's nothing you can't do, and if you think that you can, you can. I know you've heard it said, where there's a will, there's a way, and that is so, so true. If you have the will to achieve something, you 100% can. It takes effort though. It takes a lot of effort, and that effort is only fruitful when there's momentum behind it. I'm going to go back to the snowball example. I'm going to tie this all together with where I started from, and that's the snowball example. You have a little tiny snowball about a palm size in your hand. If you just kind of flick it down the hill with no real power behind it, it's not really going to go any places. And like I mentioned, in the real world, there's going to be friction, there's going to be air, there's going to be a lot of these other forces acting upon that snowball, which are going to try and stop it from rolling down the hill. So if you want the snowball to gain a lot of steam, it's going to take a lot of effort in the initial progress setting. But once that effort is finally realized, then you can coast on that momentum that's been built, because the snowball will take itself and build and grow and grow and grow and grow and become this massive success. So allow us to help you get that initial effort. Allow us to help you become motivated and encouraged and inspired to go and do things with your life that you want to pursue. And once again, my name is Atle Garcia. I really hope that you've enjoyed this first part of our Momentum series. We have more to come in the year 2022, and come by and see us. We are here for you. Have a wonderful day.